My name is Sian O'Brien, and I am 14. There is no worse feeling than realizing you bear no resemblance to your mother or father. I love Mom and Dad. Had they told me I was adopted, I would have believed them without question. My parents insisted I would grow into their features, but with each year the gap only widened. They are tall and slender. I am of modest height, with hair the color of wheat and eyes of a steady blue. They both possess a mane of fiery red hair and sharp green eyes. Their ears are small and rounded. Mine are not. There is a distinct elongated point to the cartilage that I have concealed beneath long hair since I was 10. They are wonderful people, yet their minds work in practical, straightforward ways. I earned a full academic scholarship to St. Joseph's Preparatory Academy. My father still cannot manage more than a patchy stubble. I began shaving at 11. Now I sport the most respectable beard among the freshmen, much to the bewilderment of the seniors. In confession, I once whispered this growing dread of not belonging. Father Mulkey suggested dormant genes, a throwback to a distant ancestor. Hopeful, I became an archivist of my own bloodline. The family albums revealed no kinship with my grandparents' youthful faces, nor with the stern gaze of my great-grandfather beside his wartime aircraft. I delved deeper into digitized records, tracing the O'Brien line back to a grainy 1882 portrait. The same traits echoed through the generations: a pronounced brow, close-set eyes, a long nose with a distinctive tip. My face, with its upturned nose, wide-set eyes, and defined jaw, was a foreign signature in a familiar book. I did what any rational child in my silent predicament would do. I waited for an empty house and conducted a thorough search. I combed through filing cabinets, the locked drawer in my father's desk, the dusty attic boxes. I found records of defunct appliances, old love letters, my own childish drawings. I found no adoption papers, only the comforting, chaotic proof of an ordinary life. Desperation turned me to modern science. I sent my DNA away, bracing for a revelation of Polish roots or unknown cousins. The reply was a cold, perplexing refusal. Sample unreadable. A second attempt yielded the same result. The final message was a terse refund notice with a baffling addendum. Sample is inconclusive and does not match standard human reference markers. It felt less like science and more like being turned away at the gates of my own humanity. The need for truth became a physical ache. I devised a plan. I would spend Thanksgiving with my Aunt Bridget in Scituate, the coastal town where my parents were born, while my cousin Ryan came to Philadelphia. If a legal record existed, it would be there. Aunt Bridget was happy for the company. On a bleak afternoon, she asked me to take Bruno, her German shepherd, for a run. I drove him to the sprawling ancient St. Mary's Cemetery. Generations of my family rested there. As Bruno chased his toy, I walked the rows, reading names worn smooth by time. Then in a secluded section, I saw it. The name carved into the dark granite stole the breath from my lungs. Sian Seamus O'Brien. My birth date. Beneath it, the names of my parents. The death date was a mere 2 months later. I was dead. Officially, eternally dead. Bruno pressed against my legs, a warm anchor in the sudden void. Numbly, I documented the stone with my phone. At the local library, I accessed the digital archive and found the corresponding obituary, a tiny, heartbreaking notice of an infant lost to a congenital heart defect. I printed it. Back at my aunt's kitchen table, I laid the evidence before her. "Tell me the truth," I said, my voice unnervingly steady. "Who am I?" Her face drained of all color. "I can't," she whispered, the words barely audible. That evening, she drove me to the station in silence and put me on the first train home, her final glance one of pure, unadulterated fear. Ryan occupied my space in my own home. He and my father bonded over video games, their world of frantic noise holding no appeal for me. I retreated into a project, building an intricate, programmable advent calendar for my mother. It was a refuge in logic and creation. Our family's Christmas traditions always held a peculiar edge. The strangest was this. After I was sent to bed on Christmas Eve, my parents would place a specific, expensive bottle of Irish whiskey and a single crystal glass on the coffee table before the hearth. Every Christmas morning, without fail, I would find the bottle empty on the rug, the glass clean, yet my parents showed no trace of indulgence. They were as alert and sober as judges. This year, the need to know what transpired in those dark hours became an obsession. I modified my project. A tiny silent camera was embedded within the holly and gold bow of the advent calendar, its lens trained on the living room hearth. It streamed a silent vigil to my laptop. On Christmas Eve, I retired early and watched. The tree lights twinkled over an empty room. Hours passed. The clock ticked past 2 a.m. A crushing sense of foolishness settled over me. I was about to close the laptop when the shadows within the fireplace deepened, coalescing into solid form. A figure emerged, not with a jolly sound, but with a slow, laborious crawl, as if through a space not meant for passage. He stood, and he was imposing, clad not in bright crimson, but in a heavy coat of a deep, burnt red trimmed with thick, weathered fur. He turned. His face was my own nightmare reflection. The same structure, but older, hardened by centuries, not years. His eyes absorbed the light. They did not twinkle. I didn't think. I ran into the living room, my body trembling with a furious cosmic betrayal. "You!" I shouted. He turned slowly, unsurprised. "Xian," he said. His voice was deep, resonant, devoid of manufactured cheer. It was the sound of cold wind through deep stone. "You have been persistently observant. What is it you truly wish for this year?" "Answers!" My voice cracked. "Who am I? Why am I here?" He considered me. "Wouldn't you prefer something more tangible? The means to ensure that the boy who torments you simply forgets your existence? I can make it so." The specificity of the offer was more terrifying than any generic threat. "No. The truth." He held up a gloved hand. The bottle of whiskey trembled, then floated to his grasp. He drank deeply, leaving it suspended in the air. From his coat, he drew a long, dark pipe, lighting it with a snap of his fingers. The scent was of frost and forgotten woods. "Your parents wanted a child more than anything," he began, smoke curling from his lips. "They pleaded for one. The first Xian was taken from them. I provided a replacement, one who was surplus to requirements elsewhere. You stole me. I curated a better life," he rumbled. "Your mother, at the place of your first birth, had different priorities. You would have been discarded. I witnessed the profound goodness in these two people. It was a fitting exchange." "What was she?" In answer, he slowly pushed back the hair from his temple. The ear he revealed was elegantly, unmistakably pointed, a perfected version of my own hidden deformity. We are a people of craft and longevity. Do not mistake our secrecy for weakness. The magic that lets me traverse your globe in a single night to perceive the hidden yearnings of millions is not a gentle power. Who do you serve? I whispered, the dread coiling in my stomach. He smiled, a thin, cold crack in a glacial facade. The one who understands the void in the human heart. The one who masterfully offers an endless carnival of things to stuff into it, especially on this night. It keeps the noise loud enough to drown out the silence. The horrific sense of it all dawned on me. The frantic consumption, the seasonal loneliness, the quiet despair masked by forced cheer. You have a spark of the old craft, he whispered, a note of terrible persuasion in his voice. You could learn everything, know your true nature, assume your role in the family enterprise. The compensation is beyond mortal measure. He extended his hand. An object materialized above his palm, a whistle seemingly carved from glacial ice or ancient bone, intricate and radiating a deep cold. It floated toward me. Sound this if your curiosity ever outweighs your comfort. It will summon a guide. With that, he took the floating bottle, finished it, and let it fall. He placed a hand on the soot-blackened bricks and simply climbed back into the darkness, which swallowed him without a sound. I stood alone, the unnatural cold of the whistle seeping into my palm. Then a soft, controlled breath from the hallway. My father stood in the shadows, his face streaked with silent tears in the dim light. I'm sorry, Xian, he said, his voice raw with a lifetime of fear and love. We could never find the words. You had to see for yourself. A wave of pure, uncomplicated love broke through the horror. You're right, I said softly. I walked to the kitchen, retrieved the empty bottle from the living room floor, and placed it in the recycling bin. A small, normal act in a world that was no longer normal. When I returned, he was still there. Go back to bed, he said, his voice now firm with paternal resolve. It's almost morning. And tomorrow will be the best Christmas we've ever had. But as I lay in the dark, the spectral whistle a cold weight on my nightstand, I knew the world had fractured. The choice had been offered, not between good and evil, but between a loving human truth and a terrible, ancient legacy. And somewhere in the deep, eternal cold, a part of my real family was waiting to see what I would choose.